class, because in the first module we introduce ourselves to the course, whereby we try to mention and emphasize the fact that we'll be having 10 different modules for this course, and this is module 9, which implies that we only have one more module to go for the course research methodology. And this is the 9th video, which implies that we only have one more video to round this course off. So I believe over the in our previous modules, you've been able to gain one or two concerning research methodology. And in this module, we'll be looking at research publication, presentation, and scholarly communication. So this is just like bridging private discovery to public impact. This is essentially what it is addressing. So, and now we have the contents of the module. In this module, we'll be looking at different subtopics, in which one of them is writing research papers for journal publication using standard format. That is, we'll be introducing ourselves to how to write research papers, research work for different journals publication by using standard formats. And it is to tell us that we need to introduce ourselves to formats, the standard format that is being used or adopted when you're writing a research paper for journals. And after that, we will move on to step-by-step process for drafting journal articles. We also introduce ourselves and guide ourselves by along the line. We guide ourselves on how to write, or draft journal articles step by step. So, and the third one, we'll be looking at writing conference papers and public lectures. So after that, we'll move on to preparing and delivering research presentations to panels. It's a different thing to write a work, and it's another different thing entirely to deliver presentations or speech. Let's say presentation, to deliver presentation concerning what you've written to panels or to intellectuals. Let's put it that way. So we'll also be preparing ourselves on how to prepare and how to deliver research presentations. And the fifth one is the fifth subtopic is creating academic posters and research leaflets. And after that, we'll move on to designing flowcharts, diagrams, and research visuals. And lastly, we'll be looking at tools and techniques for effective academic communication before we move on to the conclusion part of the module. So now we're introduction part. We want to tell ourselves about why communication is very essential. So why do we think communication matters? We can say that because research achieves its potential only when it's shared. Yes, this is one of the reasons why communication is really essential. When we are talking about communication in research analysis, we can't just carry out a research and put it there for the sake of research purpose. Just put it. The main purpose is for the research to be shared and to pass across information to people about a particular starter, or about your particular discipline that the researcher carried out his or her research on. So now research analysis is there to achieve its full potential only when it is shared. That's when we can actually, okay, we've done something. When you share it and you communicate, you pass information to people. That is why communication is very essential in research analysis. Now, the key message is that rigorous methodology and profound insights, it remains trapped unless skillfully disseminated. When something is become difficult, difficult methods and profound insights, when there is profound insight, but we are using rigorous method, it's mainly trapped. It's mainly trapped what we are trying to do unless it is skillfully disseminated, and this is very rare. So now the purpose of this is to influence theory, influence practice and policy. We have the ecosystem to be ecosystem. We have peer-reviewed publication to permanent record, conferences to feedback and networking, public lectures, broader impact, visual formats, and accessibility. So let's move on now let's quickly look at the scholarly publication journey. So an overview to the scholarly publication journey. How do we publish a journal publication on is how do we carry out journal publication. So the core part, we have IMAD structure. We've talked about IMAD in our previous module. So which means introduction, method, results, and discussion. That's the meaning. IMAD is just like an acronym. So which means introduction, methods, results, and discussion. So we have an introduction part to be. You have to make sure you follow in writing a proper journal in public. Sorry, in journal publication, you have to take note of the introductory part is there to introduce the problem and why it is very essential or why it matters. And the methods has to do with how the study was done, while the results is definitely what result is, that what was found, defined that, and discussion is what it means, what we found, what does it mean. So now critical first step is that you select the right journal. Parallel avenues, you have conferences, posters, public engagement, digital repositories. Now let's move on to the strategic journal selection. How do we select journal now? One is finding the right fit is critical. You know that. One is you have to move on. There is what we call evaluation criteria. You try to evaluate. You know what evaluation means, I believe. So you try to evaluate and try to you try to filter some things, look at some things if it is going to work out or not. So the evaluation criteria, we have one to be intellectual fit, and this one has to do with the scope, the audience, the recent articles about what you want to work on. Then two is journal standing, and under that you have impact factor, disciplinary reputation, and all. You check at the standing of the journal. Are they well known disciplinarily? What's their reputation and all. So the third one is practical concerns. That's the review speed, acceptance rate, and all. Check. It's not that you just be writing your work unnecessarily and it will be slow, or they won't want to accept your work. You understand? How fast is the review speed? How far do they review it works? So the review speed and acceptance rate, you check it if it is something that you can actually vet in. Then the fourth one is access model. That's open access. APCs, like APCs, that's the subscription or the hybrid. Now the warning there is just that you have to avoid predatory journals. The red flag is that unsolicited emails, rapid review promises, unclear fees. So these are things. It's not just about journal alone. These are the signals that we should see in any line. We should quickly know that no, there is a red flag. Rapid review promises. We actually know that sometimes it doesn't just work that way. Unclear fees, when there is the fees is not clearly stated. So you can actually verify via DOHA, Scopus, Web of Service, and the likes. Now let's move on to crafting your manuscripts, step-by-step guide. We have the step one to be rewriting, then the second one is drafting sequence, and the third one is visuals, while the fourth one is citations, while the fifth one is revise and polish. The pre-writing is just as the name implies. It has to do with research, complete, target, journal choosing, outline, ready. These are the things that you need to do. Yeah, you have to move. The next one is drafting sequence. And in doing this, you consider starting with methods and results, then discussion, introduction last. Now, visuals, you create clear journal compliance tables and figures. Citation, you use reference manager like Zotero and Mendeley. So revise and polish has to do with you seek feedback, edit for clarity, and follow guidelines meticulously. These are step-by-step guide in crafting your manuscript. Now let's move on to mastering conference presentation. Now, how do we present our work now? The purpose is timely dissemination and scholarly exchange. Make sure you are within the minutes that is being given, you disseminate timely on time, and you also exchange ideas from scholars. Now you structure a 15-minute talk like this. How do you structure a 15-minute talk? You have the compelling hook to be 1 minute. Then the context and question should not be more than 2 minutes. The key method should be 3 minutes, and the core result is the most bulky one. You have to you can schedule it for like 5 minutes. It is like the highlight. Then the conclusion and implication, 3 minutes. Question and answer follows. Then now remember, it is a performance, not paper reading. You cannot be reading. It has to do with what you know and how you want to present it. It has to do with performance. So it's not reading. Presentation is not about reading. So you just have to prepare effectively. So now let's look at Slack design principle. The Slack design principle. So the speaker is the star, slides are the support. So the offer is what we are trying to establish here is that slides offer support to the speaker. So although the speaker is the star that everyone is known, but the slide will in one way or the other offer support. So now just like we are doing now. Now the 6x6 rule guideline, that is 6 bullet points per slide, 6 words per bullet. Now visual design is essential. Make sure there is high contrast, text background, large format. You have the 24 points body, 36 points headings. Now your consistent and professional templates, make sure you use that. Meaningful visuals over decorative clutter, accessible color schemes, you have tried to avoid red or green. Now let's move on to delivery and presence. When you want to carry out a delivery, you have to engage your audience with your voice, your body, your eyes, your mindset, and your approach. And the voice is that you make sure that you make use of clear pace, varied pitch. You pause for emphasis. When there is comma, you have to pause. When there is full stop, you pause so that the audience will be able to follow and grab what you are trying to say. We have the body. You have to be the body is an important part of delivery too. When you have in a case that you be having a different confidence posture, purposeful gestures, open stance, and all, so that the people will have to the panel will have to believe that you know what you are doing. So the eyes, you sustain contacts across the, make sure don't just look down. You make sure you keep eye contact. It is what gives the panel more leverage about you, more remarks to you about you. So now the mindset is that you share your passion for the work. You make sure you share your passion for the work. And the pro tip is you practice aloud, time yourself, and prepare for questions and answer. Now let's move on to the crafting effective academic poster. A poster is a visual conversation starter. And in crafting effective academic posters, there is what we call title and authors, the introduction, the methods, results, conclusion and takeaway, and the contact info or QR code. And the design philosophy is visuals to text, and the standard layout is portrait 36 to 40 by 48. So title and authors is visible from 10 feet. Introduction is brief, context and gap. As your methods or approach, you have key steps visually, and the result should be about core findings with graphs or images. Conclusion and takeaway should be clear, bold message about what you've worked on, and the contact info and QR as well. Now let's look at design flowcharts and visuals. How do we design flowcharts and visuals? Now this is the principles of visual communication. You don't just tell, you show the people. So you simplify complex info by letting the audience see what you are talking about. Clarity and not complexity. So you remove non-essential elements, just something that is the necessary elements. Just put something that the necessary elements that will pass across the vital information to the audience. And you also use standard conventions, e.g. flowchart shapes. The toolkits include PowerPoint, Google Drawings, Lucid Charts, Adobe Illustrator, Python for graphs and the like. So essential digital tools. We have reference management, which is Zotero, EndNote, and Mendeley. We also have collaborative writing, which could be Google Docs, Overleaf, Word plus OneDrive. Then the third one, we have dissemination and networking, where we have preprint servers, academic networks, and repositories. So for the preprint servers, we have servers like Arxiv, BioRxiv, SocArxiv, and the likes. For the academia networks, you just try to make some research. If you can visit ResearchGate, you can visit LinkedIn. You can also look at academia.edu, but you have to be cautious about the use of academia. So and repositories could be an institutional discipline, e.g. it could be public central and the likes. So let's move on to navigating open access. So this has to do with making research freely available. So we have the models here. We have the gold OA, we have the green OA, we have the hybrid, we have the benefits and the check. So it's for this is how to make research freely as available and accessible. You publish in OA journal. It may involve a PC. So OA journal, yes, you have for green OA, self archive in repository. That is often posting embargo. Hybrid OA option is in subscription journal, and the benefit is that it increases reach, citations, and public impact. Now you check founder and institutional mandates, you also check that too. The big picture, that is the ethical and strategic dissemination, the core responsibility. You have accuracy and integrity, accessibility as one of the ethical and strategic dissemination, and strategic choice and engagement. So in conclusion, scholarly communication has been can be said to be the bridge from insight to impact. To be the bridge from insight to impact. So and mastering its forms, which could be writing, presenting, from writing to presenting and visualizing. It is a core professional skill, and by communicating your work clearly, ethically, and strategically, one can ensure it contributes to the global advancement of knowledge. Thank you. That will be the end for this module. Now let's move on to the final module, which